Say the word Strait of Hormuz to almost anyone, and a particular image appears in their mind. Oil tankers. Warships. Satellite tracking screens in military operations rooms. Headlines about blocked shipping lanes and naval standoffs. The Strait of Hormuz is, to the world's media, a geopolitical pressure point, a 21-mile-wide bottleneck through which 20% of the world's oil supply passes every single day. That story is real. And it has almost completely erased another story. The story of what the Strait of Hormuz actually looks like. Because on both sides of this narrow, world-famous waterway, on the Iranian islands to the north and the Omani peninsula to the south, there exists a collection of landscapes, geological formations, ancient ruins, and living communities so extraordinary, so visually unexpected, and so completely unknown to the outside world that they seem to belong to a different planet rather than to one of the most scrutinized stretches of water on Earth. An island where the soil comes in 70 shades of color and the beach runs red. A canyon carved so deep and so precisely into limestone that its walls look handmade. The world's longest salt cave, extending for kilometers beneath a desert island that almost no tourist has ever visited. And on the other side of the strait, in Oman, a peninsula of desert fjords that has been called the Norway of Arabia, where cliffs drop 2,000 meters straight into water of impossible clarity. These are the top 10 hidden places in the Strait of Hormuz. The places that the oil tankers pass, unknowing, every single day. Stay until the end. Because number 1 is a place so geologically surreal that scientists still argue about how it was formed, and almost no travel channel has ever pointed a camera at it. Let us begin with the beauty. Number 10, Larak Island, Iran. At number 10, the most overlooked island in the entire Strait of Hormuz. Larak Island sits east of Keshem, close enough to its famous neighbors to be visible from their shores, and yet separated from them by a stretch of water that most visitors to the region never cross. While Hormuz draws travelers for its rainbow geology and Keshem for its geopark and canyons, Larak sits quietly, clear waters, untouched beaches, and almost no tourist infrastructure at all. The island's waters are among the clearest in the region. The Persian Gulf in this area carries exceptional visibility, reefs visible from the surface, coral formations in shallow water that snorkelers explore without needing to dive. The beaches that fringe Larak's coastline are the kind that would anchor a resort development in any other part of the world. Here, they are simply there. Empty, unhurried, belonging to the island's small fishing community and to whoever makes the effort to arrive by local boat from Keshem or Bandar Abbas. Number 10. And already it is extraordinary. Number 9. Khor Najd, Muzandam, Oman, crossing to the Omani side of the strait for number 9, and arriving at a bay that is one of the best-kept secrets on the entire Arabian Peninsula. Khor Najd sits 30 kilometers from Qasab, the capital of Oman's Muzandam Peninsula. The road to reach it winds up through the mountains of the Hajar Range, bare limestone, dramatic switchbacks, the sea visible intermittently far below, before cresting a ridge and revealing, suddenly and without warning, a bay of such impossible beauty that first-time visitors often simply stop the car and sit with the view for a while before continuing. The bay is enclosed on 3 sides by limestone mountains that drop almost vertically to the water. The color of that water, sheltered from the open strait by the surrounding peaks, is the kind of turquoise that makes the eyes adjust. Too vivid. Too precisely the color that comes to mind when the word turquoise is said. The beach at the bay's head is undeveloped. There is no resort. There is no ticket booth. There is the beach, the water, and the mountains. Number 8, Hengam Island, Iran. Number 8. A small island south of Keshem that most regional visitors never reach, and the ones who do almost always wish they had arrived sooner. Hengam Island is accessible by boat from both Keshem and from the mainland at Bandar Abbas. The crossing takes less than an hour. And the waters between Keshem and Hengam are, reliably, among the best places in the entire Persian Gulf to encounter bottlenose dolphins in the wild. Not in a tank. Not from a purpose-built dolphin-watching boat with a commentary track. In the open sea, where the dolphins come of their own accord. Surfacing alongside the traditional wooden boats that make the crossing, riding bow waves, moving at speeds that make the boat feel stationary by comparison. Morning crossings, when the sea is calm and the light is low and horizontal, offer sightings that are genuinely difficult to describe without sounding like an overstatement. Dolphins, coral, spice, and color. Hengam Island. Almost entirely overlooked. Number 7, Chakuk Canyon, Keshem Island, Iran. A canyon that looks, at first encounter, less like a natural formation and more like the interior of a cathedral designed by a civilization that no longer exists. Chakuk Canyon sits in the northern part of Keshem Island, the largest island in the Persian Gulf, a UNESCO Global Geopark, and a place so geologically extraordinary that scientists continue to find formations that challenge existing models of how landscapes form. The canyon's name translates as Mountain of Wells, a reference to the natural basins and channels carved into the canyon floor and walls by centuries of rainfall, which local communities used for thousands of years to collect and store drinking water in a desert environment where rain was precious and infrequent. The canyon is a survival technology as much as it is a geological wonder. Walking into Chakuk is an immediate adjustment of scale. The walls rise steeply on both sides. Sandstone carved by wind and water erosion into surfaces so precisely textured, so intricately patterned, that they appear to have been worked by hand. Ripple marks from ancient seabeds. Honeycomb weathering creating cellular patterns that cover entire cliff faces. Natural arches. Passages that narrow to the width of a single person, the walls close enough to touch simultaneously on both sides, the sky above reduced to a thin strip of light. Number 6, Telegraph Island, Musandam, Oman. At number 6, an island so small that it barely registers on most maps, and yet one that carries more history per square meter than almost anywhere else in the Strait of Hormuz. Telegraph Island, its official name is Jazrat al-Maklab, but no one calls it that, sits in the middle of Khor Sham, the largest inlet of Musandam's fjord system. It is accessible only by boat, reached during the dhow cruises that operate from Qasab harbor. In the 1860s, the British Empire was attempting something audacious, to run a telegraph cable from London all the way to British India, a distance of over 11,000 kilometers, crossing the entirety of Europe, the Middle East, and the Persian Gulf. This island, in the middle of an Omani fjord, was selected as a relay station, a place to boost the telegraph signal as it made its way through the Gulf. Number 5, the Valley of Stars, Keshem Island, Iran, a valley that the locals believe was created by a star falling from the sky. The geological explanation is more prosaic but no less extraordinary. The Valley of Stars, locally known as Astala Kafta, meaning fallen star, is a landscape of towering rock pinnacles, deep gorges, and intricate formations sculpted by 2 million years of erosion from wind, rain, and the slow but inexorable pressure of geological time. The rock here is sedimentary, laid down in layers when this part of the world was beneath an ancient sea, then lifted and exposed and carved by the forces that followed. The result is a landscape that does not resemble anything else in the region, or in most of the world. Columns of rock 3, 4, 5 meters tall rise from the valley floor in irregular clusters. Between them, the ground drops away into narrow slots and crevices. The surfaces of every formation are textured, layered, banded in pale yellows and creams and ochres that shift color as the light moves across them through the day. Number 4, Hormuz Islands Rainbow Valley and Red Beach, Iran, an island so colored, so geologically improbable, that photographs of it are routinely mistaken for digital art. Hormuz Island, 8 kilometers from the Iranian coast, a 40-minute ferry ride from Bandar Abbas, is known locally as Rainbow Island. That name is not marketing. It is geology. The island contains over 70 distinct mineral deposits, and those minerals color its landscape in a palette that has no equivalent in any other place on Earth. Iron oxide creates the deep reds and rusts of the cliffs and the famous Red Beach, Sork Beach, where the sand itself is the color of deep rust, running into water that is the color of turquoise glass, creating a contrast so saturated and so precise that the eye keeps recalibrating. Yellow sulfur deposits. Purple hematite, whose black shining soil has a metallic gleam in direct sunlight. White salt formations rising from the valley floors. Ochre, cream, silver, and gold. Number 3, Khor Ash Sham Fjord, Musandam, Oman, and this is the place that earns Musandam its name, the Norway of Arabia. Khor Ash Sham is the largest and deepest of Musandam's fjords. A 40-kilometer arm of the sea that cuts into the Hajar Mountains from the coast, its walls rising in places to nearly 1,200 meters above the water surface. The cliffs are bare limestone, ochre and gray and cream, falling with almost no break to the dark water far below. Moving into Khor Ash Sham by traditional dhow, the standard and correct way to experience it, is one of those rare travel experiences that takes place entirely in the present tense. The fjord requires full attention. The scale of the walls relative to the boat is too large to process in background awareness. The reflections of the cliffs in the water, on still days, are too precise and too complete to ignore. Number 2, Namakdan Salt Cave, Keshem Island, Iran. Number 2. A cave system so large, so completely crystalline, so entirely unknown to the outside world, that it holds a world record that most of the world has never heard of. Namakdan Salt Cave is the longest salt cave on Earth. It extends for more than 6 kilometers beneath the surface of Keshem Island, 6 kilometers of passages, chambers, and formations entirely composed of salt stalactites, salt stalagmites, salt columns, salt curtains, salt crystals and formations so intricate and so delicate that moving through the cave requires constant caution not to disturb what took thousands of years to grow. The result is a cave that is simultaneously a geological record and a visual art installation of entirely natural origin. The salt formations are not colorless, they carry traces of the minerals mixed into them during deposition, pale pink from iron, gray from clay, cream and white from purer salt, with occasional veins of amber that catch torchlight in ways that require a moment of adjustment from the rational mind. Number 1, Hormuz Island Salt Goddess and Valley of Statues, Iran. Number 1. The Salt Goddess. On the western shore of Hormuz Island, beyond the reach of the tuk-tuk road and accessible only on foot across the island's mineral-colored landscape, there exists a geological formation so singular, so entirely particular to this place, that the people of Hormuz have given it a name that acknowledges its power while making no attempt to explain it. The Salt Goddess is a massive wind-sculpted mound of halite, crystalline salt. That has been shaped by centuries of wind erosion into a form that, in the right light, suggests a robed figure emerging from the earth. The salt is not white. It carries the iron-rich color of the surrounding Hormuz geology, pale rose, deep rust, cream and amber. In direct sunlight it glitters. At dawn, before the light is fully risen, it appears to emit its own faint luminescence, a property of the crystal structure of the salt, which reflects even minimal light with unexpected efficiency. 10 places. 1 waterway. An entirely different version of the Strait of Hormuz. From a forgotten Persian Gulf island with the clearest water in the region, to a Victorian telegraph station dissolving into an Omani fjord. From a canyon that was a water collection system for a desert community, to the world's longest salt cave glittering in absolute darkness beneath the surface of an island almost no one visits. From the Norway of Arabia. Its fjords as dramatic and as ancient as anything Norway itself can offer, to a wind-sculpted salt formation on a remote shore that has been glowing at dawn for centuries without an audience. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the most scrutinized, most monitored, most strategically significant stretches of water on Earth. And along its shores, on both sides, on the islands between, it contains landscapes that the world's attention has completely passed over. That is, depending on your perspective, either a failure of attention or a gift. The places on this list are what they are because the attention went elsewhere. They are still themselves. Still unhurried. Still extraordinary in the quiet way that things are extraordinary when they have not yet been asked to perform. Leave a comment below, which of these 10 places surprises you most?